Welcome, everybody, to Player Profiler today. Player Profiler News Primetime today, Friday. Brought to you by Fast Draft. If you like drafting and you want to draft faster with Fast Draft. Go to fastdraft.app. fastdraft.app. Use code BOOTH, BOOTH. You'll get a $50 deposit match, and you'll have $100 to play with. A lot of things going on in the football world. We had OTAs get going, and there was some player news that came out in the last couple of days. Number one, Anthony Richardson. Man, can this guy catch a break? So Anthony Richardson has a high rushing profile coming out, but he was very young and inexperienced, not a lot of volume in college. Not a lot of fantasy people had much faith in his ability to be a winning quarterback in the NFL, but did have huge rushing upside. That all played out in his rookie season, and he got hurt and missed the rest of the season. Hurt his AC joint in his shoulder. Now, second year comes out, again, hampered by injuries. Still has not yet reached his ceiling. Going into year 3, everybody's hoping, wishing that Anthony Richardson is going to finally play a 17-game season. The Colts go out and they grab Daniel Jones as kind of an insurance policy. Sure enough, we're in June. Of course, we're first week of June, and news is revealed that Anthony Richardson's still dealing with the shoulder injury. His time away from the team this offseason could potentially open the door for Daniel Jones to grab a hold of the starting spot. So far, the Colts have committed to a 50-50 split between the two quarterbacks, but it sounds like Jones will have an opportunity to develop extra rapport with his players and show the coaches that he may be the safer option for them. If the team continues to struggle this year, it could be a turning point for organizational change. Richardson's fantasy value has plummeted. If he starts the season as a backup, that value will likely go down even further. I have a couple of close friends who are Colts fans. One of them was participating in a dynasty startup draft with me the other day, and of course took Anthony Richardson. Yesterday, I let him know, hey, here's this tweet, and he responded, I'm cooked. He put all his eggs in the Anthony Richardson basket. What is up, Alex? We got A1 in the house. All right, moving on. DeAndre Swift is making some waves in Chicago in the OTAs. Ben Johnson is kind of impressed with them, and I keep burying the lead. Let's just get right into it. Something happened yesterday. Something big time, and we'll talk about it on the other side of this.
Hey, why do we partner with the FFPC? Because they have the widest variety of fantasy football formats, and it's the easiest place to find all types of fantasy football contests in the world. What if you want to play for high stakes? Well, they have a $6 million prize pool with their Fantasy Players Championship. They also have way too early best ball leagues that start in February and dynasty leagues. They have the closest thing to a liquid market for orphans that there is in all of Dynasty. And the FFPC has sponsored us for half a decade because we are actually delivering information that can help fantasy gamers, and they're generating so much interest and bringing in so many new users, casual users even. The FFPC creates a unique experience where you can both compete against the best and make money. Use promo code UNDERWORLD to get $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team at the FFPC with promo code UNDERWORLD. Go get it!
All right, we got a question from A1. Barkley and Etienne plus Aaron, good Lord, plus Antonio Richardson or Judkins and Ibuka. I'm on the Judkins Ibuka side. Anthony Richardson is essentially he's a wash at this point. I do like Etienne. Barkley is coming to the end of it, and Judkins and Ibuka are rookies. In Dynasty, they're going to last you a little bit longer. Plus, they are likely to produce fairly quickly. All right, big news, big news, big news. Aaron Rodgers is set to play for the Steelers in 2025. He's heading to Pittsburgh to sign a one-year contract with the Steelers. According to Tom Pelissero, the deal is rumored to be worth $15 to $20 million. After a long standoff with little intel from either side, today is finally the day. Months of speculation led many to assume Aaron Rodgers would eventually sign with the Steelers, as they're one of the few destinations that make sense for both sides. However, it took an unusually long time for either party to make an official announcement. Sources claim the 41-year-old pondered retirement, as well as Rodgers himself, saying he was taking time to reflect after multiple people close to him were battling cancer. With that said, he decided it was time to announce his plans for 2025, with offseason activity ramping up. There may not be a more well-documented NFL career than Rodgers, whether it's due to on the field play or off the field dramatics. The quarterback has been one of the faces of the league for exactly 2 decades. His prolific run with the Packers ended a couple seasons ago, and his following stint with the Jets soured most on the veteran quarterback. Despite posting 3,897 passing yards, which was 8th in the NFL, and 28 touchdowns, which was 7th, the Jets won just 5 games in 2024. Jets head coach Aaron Glenn made it clear that the team didn't intend to keep Rodgers under his regime. Now Rodgers lands on his feet in Pittsburgh for one last dance. The Steelers' offense underwent massive changes this offseason. Rodgers joins DK Metcalf, rookie running back Caleb Johnson, among the notable offensive acquisitions. Under offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, expect a heavy presence in the run game and Rodgers to take advantage of defenses with frequent play-action passes, similar to what he did with LaFleur in Green Bay. Time will tell if Rodgers is truly on his way out, but in a better environment for 2025, the Steelers could make some noise. Hola.
Hello. Greetings.
We got Chev in the house. We got Jamie in the house. I finally yesterday put Jamie and his sleeper handle together.
What is his sleeper handle?
I forgot it, but he has Cobra Kai as his avatar, and
all right.
Yeah.
You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
We were in a mock draft. We were doing Scott Fishbowl mock drafting, and he started making some. Big Game James 777 is his sleeper handle.
Oh.
And so we were doing a mock draft, and he started making comments that mirrored comments that he had made on one of my shows one time, and I was like, "Oh my God, I've been drafting with Big Game James for years." and I
never
just put it together. It was Jamie. I may have known last year, but time is a flat circle. Thanks, Jamie. Chev is here now. The show is going to be great.
Hey boys, was struggling, having some StreamYard struggles. Pardon the alliteration.
Yeah, I think StreamYard updated in the last 20 minutes. And so when I first tried to get in, it didn't send me the email it's supposed to send me to give me my code to get in. And now the format on the side is all different. And you'll see. You may have overheard, I was just discussing the Aaron Rodgers news. Aaron Rodgers playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We knew that was coming, or we figured it was coming. In your estimation, how does this change the landscape for the Pittsburgh Steelers, given their ridiculous run of making the playoffs? Have they done enough? Is this an enough move to kind of like keep them in the 9-8 territory and scooch into the playoffs?
This is either going to wildly exceed expectations or wildly disappoint. That's where I land. And I land on the side of it's going to disappoint.
You kind of have to have that angle given his age.
Well, it's not the age. For me, it's not the age. It's the personality clash. Like there is no more diametrically opposed group than like the Yinzers and then whatever Aaron Rodgers' personality is.
Oh, I think there's a Venn diagram in which the two meet.
And then what do they do? Are they like oil and water?
No, I think they're simpatico in a lot of areas that are not fit for consumption in this space. They're off the field kinds of things.
Mm,
And
mm.
the Steelers fans, the Yinzers, if you will, they have had quite a few, let's just call it sparkling personalities come through, and all it takes is winning. If you win, you're fine.
But that's the thing, is I don't think they're going to win.
That's what I'm kind of trying to get to. I think the Jets' problem last year, they only won 5 games, but I think the problem was beyond. I mean, like in the Player Profiler News piece, it does explain that Aaron Rodgers wasn't, exactly terrible. He had close to 4,000 yards. He was 8th in touchdowns.
Mhm.
So he produced on the field. It was just the rest of the Jets that were not up to snuff. So I feel like going into the season, especially when you're looking at coming off a season with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields as your quarterback, I think the offense is basically going to be a lateral transition. I mean, they jettisoned George Pickens, but they have DK Metcalf. Pat Freiermuth is still there. Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson may take a step forward, and then they got Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren. They've got to be able to rely on Caleb Johnson for that 250 carries and 1,000 yards that they could count on from Najee Harris every year. Yeah. I don't see it changing very much. I think that Rodgers gets close to 4,000 yards again and is in top 12 in touchdown passes, and it's going to be up to the defense. I think they're not going to lose more games this year because Rodgers is there. Is kind of like my estimation.
I don't totally disagree with you. I just think that they're not going to. He's not good enough anymore to move. And Aaron Rodgers, for what it like, in all seriousness, has been one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch ever. Mm-hmm. Like I've been stamping like banging the table saying like this is one of the most talented football players we've ever seen. I just don't think that it's going to. I don't think he's good enough anymore. I still think that he's in a but like. If you said, hey, would you take this version of Aaron Rodgers or like Trevor Lawrence? I would still take that version of Aaron Rodgers because I think it'd still be better than a guy like Trevor Lawrence. But I also I don't think that that's going to be enough to move the needle. Now, Tomlin could cobble together another one of his masterful coaching jobs where he just gets you 2 or 3 games just on just pure game theory and being ready for whatever situation that pops up. But I don't think that beyond that, they have a good enough roster to finish better than 3rd in the AFC North.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely still better than Cleveland, but I don't think that they push. And since there are going to be 4 playoff teams coming out of the AFC West this year, there's not a spot for
what 4 playoff teams are coming out of the AFC West, Biggs?
There are 4 teams in the AFC West, and they're
all
I know,
but like which what did
Kansas City Chiefs?
They do some sort of like realignment?
Denver Broncos, Los Angeles Chargers, and Las Vegas Raiders. That's 4.
Okay, so that last one, you said the Las Vegas Raiders, correct?
Yeah. They are in
the team that drafted 6th overall this year, right?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were talking about the same team. I didn't know if like the Monstars came down, like started their own team in Las Vegas or something. I was just maybe I'd missed something.
No, and their first round matchup is going to be Tennessee.
I don't believe you.
Neither do I.
Don't believe
Jamie Pirog says, do you think the Steelers go after Lazard now? No. I mean, maybe. I'll
tell you how much organizational pull Aaron Rodgers has if they go sign Allen Lazard.
You say organizational pull. I mean, I don't know if it's pull as much as, hey guys, I like this guy, go get him. You know what I mean? Like if it required like trading a second rounder or like signing him to like a $20 million contract, I think that it would be, you would kind of have to look at it as Aaron Rodgers being like the brunt of the force that caused that to happen. But it's not going to cost them anything to bring Lazard over. And just like please the old man. It's like, when I play softball and I'm like, hey, let my son play in left field. And they're like, okay. It's kind of like that. It doesn't mean I pull. It's just that nobody really cares.
I don't want to see Alan Lazard playing American tackle football in the year 2025. I don't want it.
I owned him in 2024. He was a waiver wire pickup for a couple weeks.
For like 2 weeks. Hey, Mikey.
Yeah, and then I summarily dropped him. But I did make the pickup. And
summarily, I like that.
All right. Yeah, what do you think it does for the prospects of Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin? Because we kind of know what DK's role is. I don't know if it's been a while since Rodgers has played with somebody in the mold of a DK Metcalf. We know that Pat Freiermuth is going to muth. But what about the ancillary wide receivers in that receiving core? You think it helps Calvin Austin with his breakout, his final breakout, or helps Roman Wilson nudge up a notch?
It really depends on which one he decides that he can trust more. So we've seen him develop type of chemistry with, a guy who's not anything special, but if they're going to get volume, he can cater the throws to his skill set. Like he still has a howitzer and he's still very accurate. It's just he doesn't have the crazy pocket mobility to go along with it anymore, which, he's 41. So I think it just really comes down to whichever one he develops good chemistry with the first. Like if he can hit Calvin Austin on go balls and slot fades and just kind of layer some throws in like skinny posts to get him catching and running, then yeah, if it's Roman Wilson because he's a precise route runner and just able to operate in the short area and be an easy button kind of like Randall Cobb was, sure. But if I lean, obviously I'm very biased towards Calvin Austin. Because I think that he could still be a real thing if you just give him the opportunity to do so. And so I lean Calvin Austin, but if it were Roman Wilson because he's better, he's better and more sudden and able to get in and out of breaks in the slot better, I wouldn't fight you too hard either.
It's gonna take some following the 32 beat writers and seeing what happens throughout the course of training camp and all that stuff to see who Aaron Rodgers is developing rapport with. Who knows? Could be that DK has a lot of drops throughout the training camp. And Rodgers.
Here's the thing. Here's what I will say that I'm almost certain of. One of, if not both, DK and Pat Freiermuth are going to have a career high in touchdowns this year.
Yeah, that's how he does it.
Yeah. That I am certain of. So I actually was just on the clock in a best ball and Pat Freiermuth was right there in like the 11th round. And I was like, yeah, auto select. I felt okay about it just because he was in the 11th round and it's Pat Freiermuth. But then I remembered that he was with Aaron Rodgers now, and I was like, even more bullish. That is Aaron Rodgers that got Robert Tonyan to an 11 touchdown season. So,
and Freiermuth is the guy that we've been kind of waiting for his positive touchdown regression to hit finally, because he's had some seasons where it was like, great if he could just score some touchdowns, and maybe it's time for that. All right, we are going to talk about Scott Fishbowl, and on the other side of this,
I am proud to announce that Fast Draft now has an all-defense game called D-Up. That's right, fans of IDP finally have a real money best ball game that they can play. No more manually setting up leagues every time you want to do a draft. No. Now you can play for 10 grand, 2,000 to first. Could draft up to 30 teams, all defense. And the best part, balanced scoring, tackles for loss, pass breakups. It all factors in. Just draft 6 defensive players, top 4 into your lineup every week. It's that easy. It's so easy that this isn't just for IDP people. If you love the NFL, then you'll love this game. And for the first time with Fast Draft, you can sweat both sides of the ball on Sunday. So use your host's promo code to get a $25 deposit match, and you'll love this D-Up contest because It's about time we got one.
How about I sweeten the deal? How about you get a $50 deposit match? You can use code Booth, or you can use code Chev90, and hey, get that $50 deposit match. All right, Scott Fish announced the scoring, and here it is. Oh, that doesn't look great. All right, and here it is. All right, so the basics: 6 points per touchdown for quarterbacks, running backs, everybody. Every touchdown is 6 points. It's not a 4-point passing touchdown. 2 points for all 2-point conversions. 0.04 per yard passing, 0.01 per yard rushing or receiving. That's all pretty standard. 1 point per first down rushing and receiving. You start 2 super flex spots and 9 flex spots. There are no kickers this year, and there are no return yards this year.
I don't love that.
Tight ends get 1 extra point per reception. So it's 2 PPR for tight ends, tight end premium. 0.5 points per carry. So rushing quarterbacks and running backs get half a point per carry. If you are on MFL, 1 point per target and 1 point per reception. So on MFL, wide receivers are kind of flattened out in line with the running backs. 2.5 points per reception on sleeper. Whoa, that's a boost. So 2.5 points per reception plus that extra point per reception for tight ends is 3.5 points per tight end reception. And if that tight end catches a 10-yard pass or more, that's 4.5 points for 10 yards. Tight end premium, baby. And then IDP scoring. This is going to be random, except for with Travis Hunter. Sack 6 points, tackle 2 points, assisted tackle 1 point, block 3 points, tackle for loss 1 point, safety 6 points, 3 points for a forced fumble, 3 points for a fumble recovery from an opponent, interception caught 6 points, pass defended 1 point. Essentially what's going to happen is when a quarterback throws an interception, everybody on offense suddenly becomes defense, and whoever gets credited for the tackle or for the assist, or if they punch it out and then fumble and then recover the fumble or whatever, then they're going to get points. But it's not something that you're going to be able to bank on unless you are looking at your rankings and you're like, well, this guy moves up a little bit simply because he has a quarterback that's going to throw 20, 25 interceptions. Travis Hunter, on the other hand, is going to get cornerback reps. So anytime he gets a point for a pass defended, anytime he gets points for a tackle or a forced fumble or an interception, that's going to be a little value add to Travis Hunter. We don't know of any other players who are going to be playing both sides of the ball. Not likely that Travis Hunter is going to get a sack. So you can kind of take out that 6 points. And then I had this image of me playing Madden, and this I would purposely throw an interception and then take my wide receiver, and instead of trying to tackle, force the ball out, punch it out, and then recover the fumble, and then that would be extra points for my wide receiver.
The Julio Jones paradox. Gotcha.
Yeah. Right. So went through and did a mock draft yesterday in Scott Fish Bowl scoring, and Travis Hunter went in the 4th round. The way that Sleeper ADP is set up, everybody completely forgot he was there.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen again. And it's not likely he's going to drop out of the top 5 in the normal drafts. It's just too juicy an addition, especially if he gets a lot of defense time.
Yeah, if he plays defense, then this makes him in contention for one of the top 5 or 6 picks, because he's going to be, let's say he records 60 tackles, 4 interceptions. That's an extra 24 points. That's an extra 84 points, excuse me. So you can't pass up on that type of production.
No, because I mean, if he's mid as a wide receiver and he scores 150 to 170 fantasy points as a wide receiver, now you're looking at him in the 250 point range, and that's pretty elite.
It's gonna be pretty for the Scott Fish format. This is my first year doing Scott Fish, by the way. So
Well, it changes every year.
Yeah.
so
well, no, I knew I followed it for a long
Yeah.
time. This is my first time actually being, actually playing. So I think, yeah, him going into that 250 point range is fantastic in regular IDP format. So this might juice him up even more to where he's one of the best selections on the board because he does offer that 80 to 100 point upside.
Right. And when I say 150 points, that's regular fantasy scoring. That's because, like, I was looking at some of the projections based on what people did last year and then how that translates to Scott Fishbowl points in this scoring format. And like Trey McBride was in the 640 point range.
Right.
So he is projected to be the number one scorer. So if you have the 101, Trey McBride is that dude.
Like, for example, 250 points in just a regular PPR league would have made him wide receiver 11.
Right.
In just, if it puts you in that range, and that's,
and that's only is me definitely being measured in my projection of what he's going to do as a wide receiver, because the opportunity for him to go over 150, the opportunity for him to score 250 points in regular fantasy points is there anyway.
Correct.
Even with Brian Thomas Jr., 150 points is if he's like used sparingly, and I mean that's a very, very, very low projection.
Yeah, it's basically like 60 for 750 and like 4 touchdowns.
When does the Player Profiler SFB rankings come out? I don't know if Player Profiler ever does that, but I've already given you the number one. So the number one ranked player in Scott Fishbowl 15 this year is Trey McBride. There you go, Jamie. Do with that what you will. Get your slow draft first pick in there. There's also what is happening right now is that Scott is kind of waffling back and forth with they do it every year. Okay, well then I don't know. He's waffling back and forth between whether to go third round reversal, which has been the way that the drafts have gone for the last few years at least, and he might not do it this year. So
there's a very vocal cohort now that are very anti third round reversal, and I don't like it.
I don't like it either, because I've always been in favor of the third round reversal in any format. And yeah. I think it has gotten to the point where it has become pretty standard. And because it has been the case in the Scott Fishbowl for the last couple of years, when I picked my draft spot, I picked the 10th spot because I like the third round reversal.
Yeah. I mean, it adds an element of strategy. It's like, do you want to forego, a top three talent in a startup or in a draft?
Right. When you get a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you come back and you get like top end talent in the top 36. So it's.
Yeah. The opportunity to get top 36 guys with, your first 3 picks is there, and it's lessened for guys that get to pick first. So, but the funny part is that over the last few years, who have been the consensus 101s? Christian McCaffrey, and then he kind of fell off a cliff. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, they had injury seasons. Like, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary to draft in that top 5. I don't like doing it, especially when you don't get when you get 2 of the first 24 picks and then you don't get another pick until 36 like that. Right. I don't like it.
So let me ask you this: is it going to be super flex?
There are 2 super flex spots and 9 regular flex spots. So there are two places where you can play a quarterback, But if you had 11 tight ends, you could just run 11 tight ends.
Interesting.
Like if you were able to somehow draft all of the top 11 tight ends, you could play all of them. And at least 2 of them are probably going to outscore quarterbacks.
At least 2 of them.
At least 2 of them. So the way that it's projected now, Brock Bowers and Trey McBride's point totals will outscore any quarterback play.
Yeah, I mean Brock Bowers in this kind of format is very close to the 101.
Pretty close, yeah. But people still want – I think quarterback points are a very, very safe floor. Mm-hmm. So, like, we know that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, those 4, those are likely going to be first rounders in every single draft. But then it starts getting a little bit wonky. Kyler Murray could, with his feet, push himself up there. Bo Nix could push himself up there. But, you can't – I don't know if you can count on that and not take a Jahmyr Gibbs who's going to, 2.5 points per reception.
2.5 points per reception. I can tell you right now, I've been saying it for a while.
And a half a point per carry?
Yeah, that makes Bijan just like flashing red.
Yeah.
Alert. I don't know if I'm going to be able to say no.
Right. People are talking about him as the 101 right now. I think I'd go Trey McBride, but Bijan seems to be on everybody's mind. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is right there. I don't think Ashton Genty should make it out of the first round. And
he shouldn't.
I don't think Breece Hall should make it out of the second round. Bijan kind of I faded him a little bit last year. When I say faded, I mean like I had him as my RB 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that was simply because I didn't see him with the reception total that he had. And the difference between his 2023 and 2024 seasons were exactly the difference in how many catches he had.
So yeah, that's the thing. It was like I was less bullish because I thought that they were going to continue the nonsense of him and Tyler Algier more evenly splitting the workload. And so I wasn't as bullish as I was going into his rookie year because it's like, man, they had one of the best run games with Arthur Smith, and then they're not gonna change that usage pattern. But we do get, Bijan comes out and he's a true workhorse. And I think that the arrow is still trending up. Like he's my RB1 in all formats this year. So
yeah,
I think that,
I'm not there yet, but my big thing was analyzing the Falcons offensive coaching staff and head coach, and they were LA Rams blueprinted, and they don't throw a lot to the running back. And so I thought that it was going to be pretty close to the same target totals for him out of the backfield in the receiving game. And I was wrong. They threw to him a lot more than I thought.
Well, I think one important point there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that could have been a function of Kirk Cousins, but not likely.
I think that. So you got to go back to like Todd Gurley. So they don't throw to Kyron a lot because I don't think that that's just how they believe that the most that adds the most EV per play is like throwing the ball to Kyron. But when it was Todd, it's like, please God, let's get him the ball as many times as humanly possible. And like Bijan's on that level of athlete with the ball in his hand. So part of it is Kirk Cousins for sure. But I mean, we've seen Matthew Stafford previously make, Theo Riddick relevant for fantasy purposes. So he will throw it to the running back. I think it's just that they don't value Kyron as a pass catcher, which is another reason why I'm nervous that they're not going to pay him. But that's a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah, and we will discuss that on a different day. I'm going to get out of here. I got to get ready, go to work, and stuff like that. Once again, go play fastdraft.app. Go play Fast Draft. It's on fastdraft.app, and use the code BOOTH for a $50 deposit match. We will see you next week. Shorter shows over the next couple months simply
Yeah,
because
it's June, guys. There's not much to talk about.
there's not a lot of stuff going on. And like right now, the little indicator is showing me 36 people watching live, which is phenomenal. Like that's 36 there. That's 3 dozen degens who care so much about football
And we
that
appreciate you.
they're willing to watch me bounce my lips for half an hour or so.
Bounce your lips is insane, bro. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. We gotta get out of here.
Thank you, Jamie.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.
Oh my God. I think I've had like